G'day and welcome back. Now I know it's been quite a while since I've done a video, but I have been off on holidays and doing a bit of a touring, etc. So sorry about the bit of a delay in videos. But look, while I've been gone, one of the biggest questions I keep getting asked, I've come back to a whole heap of emails, and they're predominantly about slinging methods and the sort of effects they have on the slings and all that kind of thing. Now, while we do cover a lot of it in the calculations, especially on the dogging side, we'll just have a look at how we actually sling a load. So I'm still at home at the moment, so what I'll do is I've got the trusty old swag here. Oh, got a sling here, and we'll look at a few different ways of slinging a load and what sort of effect it has on the sling as well. Right, so there's three main types of ways of slinging a load. Okay, now the most common one is to choke it. So when we talk about choking it, we're talking about reeving the load is a term that's quite often used in the assessments, etc. So when they're talking about reeving a load, they're actually talking about just choking the load. All right, now whenever you choke a load, it's going to have an effect on the capacity of the sling as well. Now this does make a difference what type of sling you're using as to how much you would derate it. So for example, I've got these softies here at the moment. So if you look at the tag on a softie, if you're going to choke a round load, it's going to only be good for 80% of its original total. So if we have a 3-ton sling here, that means that once we choke it, that 3-ton is now down to, what's that, 2,400 kilos, all right, just due to the choke. Now it doesn't matter if it's a single choke or a double choke, it's still going to be that 80% of the previous. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just have a look at how we choke it. We'll look at a single choke, and then we'll also do a double choke as well, or double wrap it. All right, so got my old swag out. All right, now if you're going to choke it, all right, what we need, you can just throw it over. All right, bring that up to the top, feed the other end through like that. All right, now there you go, that's a simple single choke. Now if it was just a vertical lift like that, then that is going to be good for 2.4 ton. Now what you've got to be wary of, just slide that back off. All right, now what people are going to do is they're going to have a look, when you have a look at the tag here, so where it talks about being choked, so when we're talking about the chokes there on the sling tag, now notice how there's two slings there. So down the bottom there where it says it's good for, what is it? On a single wrap 45 degrees or a double wrap at 60 degrees. Well, that's the maximum they want to allow. So if you've got a single wrap, no bigger than a 45 degree angle, double wrap 60 degrees is the greatest angle. But it says it's good for 4.1 ton or 4.14 ton. That 4.14 ton is obviously using two slings. Okay, so if you're using a single sling, the angle needs to take into account as well. Like I said, on a direct lift, it was going to be good for 2.4 ton, but if you've got it on a 60 degree angle, then what you'll need to do is halve that 4.14, which is going to give you, what's that, 2.07 ton. All right, so when you see that 4.14 ton on there, keep in mind that's using two slings, not the one. All right, so that's with a choke. Now to double wrap it, all right, what we'll do, grab this sling again. All right, now when you're using the slings, all right, it's always good to make sure you take any twists out of them. Look, at the end of the day, you're typically can always end up with a slight twist. It's not going to make a great deal of difference, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to twist it all the way up to try and shorten one side. All right, that's just bad practice, and it is going to have an effect on the capacity of the sling as well. All right, so if we're going to double wrap it, all right, You can just throw it over. All right. Up. Bring it to the top. All right. Throw it over again. Up. Bring it back to the top, and then back through there. All right. Now, especially if you're going to be slinging a load or choking a load, look, whether or not it always is required, it's always good practice to double wrap it. Now, if you have something like a bit of steel work and there's a cleat there to stop it from sliding in, well, then it may not necessarily need to be double wrapped. But if there's nothing there to stop it from sliding in, it's always best practice to keep it double wrapped, all right, just to stop it from sliding. All right, so that's probably one of the most common types of slinging methods you'll use, is to wrap the load, or double wrap the load in this instance. Okay. All right, now another thing I should probably point out is when I said there's a 0.8 of or 80% of the capacity when you choke it, that's for synthetic slings. Now, it's going to be different depending on the type of sling you use. So if you're using a flexible steel wire rope sling, you'll reduce it by 25%. All right, so in that instance, say the flexible steel wire rope was good for 1 ton. Once you choke it, you're only good for 750 kilos. And same again with a set of chains. Now, the other big difference is if you're going to go around a square load. So with the synthetic sling, you'll halve the capacity of it around a square load. With a flexible steel wire rope, you'll halve the capacity of it. With a chain, you only reduce it by 25%, same as a round one. So when you look at the tag on a chain where it's got looks like a little D shape on the sling tag, that's telling you it's the same capacity for both square or a round load. But keep in mind, if you are putting something around a square load or around sharp objects, try and find a bit of padding to put under it as well to try and protect your slings. Look, it can be something as simple as a bit of cardboard folded up, just to take the pressure off those slings on those corners as well. All right, so another common way to do it is with a direct lift. So if this was to have a eye bolt in it, all right, you can just basically attach it with the shackle to that eye bolt. All right, and that way there'll be no further reductions in the sling. It's just going to be whatever angle factor you're going to have in it there as well. All right, and the other common way of slinging a load is to basket the load. Now, when you basket a load, look, it's not something you want to take high in the air typically. Look, there are occasions where you do basket a load. It's usually if you're doing a dual lift on a heavy load or something, quite often you'll see it's basketed. It's not an ideal way to lift a load, but sometimes it is a preferred method if it's not going to go too high and it's you're going to worry about crushing sides of something. All right, so if you do basket a load, essentially all we're doing is getting our sling and go straight under it like that. All right, and basically go straight up like that. All right, now people will tell you when you basket a round load, you'll double the capacity of the sling. Now that's correct, but keep in mind the load has to be more than 10 times the diameter of the sling. If this wasn't 10 times the diameter of that, then what's going to happen is going to point load it, and it takes out the effect of that doubling of the sling. Now, also, when you're doubling it, that's only if the sling's going straight up. So if you've got a ram's horn hook, for example, you might get one on each side of it, and it's just straight down. If there's an angle in those slings, then you'll double the sling, but then you've got to take into account the angle factor as well. All right, so there are your 3 main ways of slinging a load and some of the effects on the slings themselves. Right, if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments below and I'll try and get back to you. All right, thanks for your time.